It's called The Shimmer. We've sent in teams of people. Nothing comes back. It's destroying everything.
It's not destroying, it's making something new.
Over the last 5 years, we've had some absolutely amazing sci-fi in our cinemas. Original films like Arrival, Interstellar, Looper, and Ex Machina all gave us lofty, thought-provoking concepts that stuck with you long after you left the movies. And now we can add Annihilation to that list as well. I caught an early screening of the movie and talked with its director, Alex Garland, and now I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about the new film. And if you like your sci-fi, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we've got loads of it here at GameSpot Universe. We've got extensive coverage of both Altered Carbon and Star Trek Discovery. Now let's jump in. Here's everything you need to know about Annihilation. Based on the best-selling 2014 book by Jeff Vandermeer, Annihilation is a mind-melting sci-fi cocktail that takes inspiration from both Alien and Salvador Dali. Yeah, it's bizarre. The plot follows a team of 5 women, a biologist, an anthropologist, a psychologist, a surveyor, and a linguist, as they explore an uninhabited, quarantined stretch of land known simply as Area X. This mysterious wilderness is an environmental disaster zone, loosely based on the wilds of northwestern Florida, which is slowly mutating the surrounding animal population and environment, resulting in, well... The expedition, led by Natalie Portman's biologist, is sent in to investigate Area X, find the source of the mysterious mutations, and uncover whatever happened to the preceding team of soldiers. Only things aren't really that simple. It's an intriguing setup that drags you into a world that's equal parts terrifying and beautiful, while throwing up some heady sci-fi concepts that will really test the limits of your brain. The film left me thinking about it days after watching it. And if you've read the book, you'll know that it goes into some very strange places. But director Alex Garland's version of the story has remixed the plot to create a slightly different take on the book.
The thing that was amazing about the book for me was primarily that it's very original. It just wasn't like anything else I'd ever read before. I tried to write it in a kind of instinctive way. I felt that reading the book was a kind of dreamlike experience, and so I took a principle which was to not reread the book and underline sections and stuff, but to write a kind of memory of the book. So in some places it's exactly like the book, and in other places it differs, and it's sort of memory dependent, I suppose.
If Alex Garland's name seems familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen one of the many films he's written in the last 20 years, or his fantastic directorial debut, Ex Machina. Annihilation might only be his second film as director, but boy has he got a pedigree when it comes to cinematic sci-fi. He's written the screenplays for 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Never Let Me Go, and Dread, and he's even dabbled in video games, working on both Enslaved Odyssey to the West and DMC Devil May Cry. For Annihilation, he's compiled a strong ensemble of female actors in the lead roles, including Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, and Tessa Thompson.
We have to go back. We have to go back now.
She's right. I really don't know how much more right she has to be.
Okay, and I agree with you. We should go back.
But in the past week, after we had spoken with Alex Garland, controversy around the film's casting has been the subject of a number of headlines. 2 advocacy groups criticized the film for whitewashing 2 of the lead characters. The film is adapted from the first book in the series. In the second book of the trilogy, Authority, we learn that Portman's character has dark, thick eyebrows, a slightly off-center nose, and high cheekbones that spoke to the strong Asian heritage on one side of her family. And Lee's character, Dr. Ventress, is revealed to be half Native American. Alex Garland has since responded to the controversy, issuing this statement to Deadline. Quote, "This is an awkward problem for me because I think whitewashing is a serious and real issue, and I fully support the groups drawing attention to it. But the characters in the novel I read and adapted were not given names or ethnicities. I cast the film reacting only to the actors I met in the casting process, or actors I had worked with before. There was no studio pressure to cast white. The casting choices were entirely mine, but there was nothing cynical or conspiratorial about the way I cast this movie." While Annihilation is being released in cinemas in the US, Canada, and China, it's going straight to Netflix internationally mid-March. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Paramount sold the international rights to Annihilation after the film suffered from a poor test screening with executive producers back in summer of 2017. The reasoning they gave was that the film was too intellectual for general audiences. Simply put, the producers wanted the film to be changed to cater for a more mainstream audience. But Garland, who was keen to keep his vision for the film, refused to make any changes, and that resulted in Paramount trying to cut their losses by selling the rights to Netflix. While Netflix will undeniably bring the film to a wider audience, Garland points out that it's not the ideal way to view the movie.
I've got no problem with Netflix. I've got no problem with the small screen. I think the truest thing I can say is that the best bit of filmed narrative I've seen in the last 12 months was Handmaid's Tale, and that was on a small screen. So I have no problem with it as a medium, but it would be better to know that that's what you're doing before you get into it. Because there's stuff that you effectively, not just stuff I do, stuff that the director of photography does, the visual effects supervisor, the score, the guys that write the music, the guys that do the sound design. It's designed for cinema.
Sure. And
you would do it differently if it wasn't.
The upshot from Garland's perspective is that Annihilation needs to be seen on a big screen. Full of suspense and surrealist visuals, Annihilation is best experienced in a cinema. But while you won't be able to see it on a big screen outside of the US, Canada, or China, at least Garland's vision remains. If you like your sci-fi big, bold, and challenging, then Annihilation might be for you. After watching the film, I felt like there was a lot to unpack. There was so much to think about, and that's what Garland and his team were keen to imprint on audiences.
I think I'm involved in making a film where people continue to think about it at all. That in itself is a goal. Some stories are completely self-contained, and when the story's over, everything about it is over, and you never really think about it again. And I think what me and the group of people I was working with hoped was that this would stay alive in people's minds in some way. People would watch it, go in with an open mind, because it is quite a strange film and it's quite a challenging film in some ways. And then afterwards, it would continue to stay with them.
Will you be watching the film? Have you read the book? Let us know your thoughts on Annihilation in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.